neat.
It's magic.
The thing's a thingin'. So we are going to start a little odd since so much of it is devoted to the same thing.
Yeah. Half the paper's yellow. I gotcha.
So we're gonna start different ways. But are we ready to roll
I think we're ready to.
All right. So anyway, this is Reblogatog number 12. It is a round, even dozen.
That's right.
Of Reblogatog. So that's like 3 months since we started this.
Yeah.
3 months. Wow. It does not seem that long. So anyway.
Time just flies when you're in lockdown.
We're going to crank it off starting a week ago today. I've been trying to cut them off so that at Wednesday I start from there. So anyway, the first one we're going to jump on is a
big topic.
A bit of a topic. I don't know. I'm not the Reddit person that you are. But
right.
Anyway, I think the Godzilla cards are fine as an opt-in experience. I personally am not interested in them, so I just trade the ones I open, but they're available for other players who enjoy that. However, I do think the Buy a Box promo not being available as a regular Magic card is a mistake, as I can't opt out of playing the Godzilla version. I think the non-Godzilla version should have been included in collector's boosters. We are going to make it.
Yeah.
I agree it should have been in the collector booster.
I can agree with this. We had a question about this last week, actually.
Yeah.
They had the artwork for it, so he assumes it will get printed in that form at some point. And it's weird. The Buy a Box is always exclusive to being the Buy a Box, but it's weird that it's only in the Godzilla promo and
there's no regular version.
Yeah, that is a weird.
That makes it odd. The collector booster would have been a fine addition.
Right.
I'm not sure where we're going to get it, how they're going to put it in.
I don't know.
I would assume it's way too late to put it in the Double Masters, so I'm not
It'd
sure.
be weird, and I guess it's technically a reprint, even if it went into Double Master.
I don't know where they put it.
Yeah.
It's too late for core set.
I would imagine.
So I don't know. They're going to make it. I don't know. Maybe it'll be a special promo.
Maybe it's not too late for core set. They got the Godzilla versions into Ikoria before Ikoria went out. Does that not mean they can slide?
But they planned for that.
Right, but once they realized they weren't getting that original version out, that means they should have still had time to try to slide it over to Core 21 if they wanted to get the print out as soon as possible, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll just put it in the Universal promo packs, and we'll have it for that.
That'd be a great place to put it,
give out. So, we're going to be jumping around a little bit here. I've tried to tie some things together like I've been doing, so I'm going to hit all the non-tied together stuff through the week here. There is a lot on one topic. A lot. So be warned. Didn't warn you right out at the top. We just jumped in, but there is a lot on one subject. And that will take up the bulk of this Reblogatog. I absolutely love the Triumph full art styles. Any chance of getting this kind of art style elsewhere? I would love other lands in this art style, even other card types, but the lands were gorgeous. Send virtual high fives to the team. Virtual high fives and your comments to be passed along. I've seen many comments here on Blogatog and in other places about that. Yeah. We're in agreement. We love the art style. We would like to see more of this. And I think WotC is really trying a lot of this stuff.
Right.
Something we'll be talking about on a little bit chatter later is the secret layer drop coming with the tattoo art.
Yeah.
So they are going out there and getting some different art styles in some different ways, trying to hit different folks.
And Double Masters, we've already seen some previews that there's going to be special arts of cards in Double Masters, and some of them have that same kind of Ikoria style. They're not all that style from what I've seen, but some of them have that very comic-like, lots of line work and everything. So
we are getting some different art, and we're appreciative of that. Speaking of Double Masters... Mark, with the current animosity over Double Master's lack of fetches, wouldn't it make sense for WotC to announce the fetch reprint set and just leave it at that? And he asked, would knowing the product actually appease people? No. I don't think it would. What difference would it make if you knew, hey, we're not planning to print that until the last set of this year?
Right.
Would people go, well, why are you waiting so long? Or why is it in that product? You know? I don't think, and we're going to get into some more of that a little bit, too.
Yeah.
Hi, Mark. Happy belated birthday. It was his birthday this previous week. I know it totally seems like a minor issue, but I would love to see more common dual lands, even in non-3-color sets. My reason being is that I think it would reduce the feels bad me and my playgroup get when we play sealed. So many 3-color piles with little fixing. Mm-hmm. He says it's an fan thing.
Yeah.
We put the lowest commonality dual lands where they'll set up the right mana bases. We don't want players defaulting to 3-color, for example, if it's not a 3-color set.
Right, like Eldraine or something. You
yeah.
know.
So, and I get that. I mean, I'm looking at, we do have a 3-color set now, and it is fairly easy to play 3 colors.
It isn't bad, yeah.
Because of the common dual lands, and then you got the crystals, and
yeah, there's quite a bit of
if you pick up a Triome in the right one, even if it's 2 out of 3, it's maybe worth playing, you know?
It is.
So, I get it. Again, I think that's just one of those things you're never going to make everybody happy anyway, so.
Everybody always wants more dual lands. That's just life.
Yeah, even the common duels,
you
know. If Shroud wasn't confusing to newer players, would it be a better keyword than Hexproof? And Mayro thinks the gameplay is better.
I would agree.
Nobody messes with it. It's just out there.
It's out there and it does its thing.
But the research they did back in the day said that people always thought that they could target their own thing.
Yeah. I don't know.
And I like being able to target my own stuff.
I do too. But, you know, when you're sitting across the table from that hexproof creature that they're able to just suit up real big, it just... Yeah, it feels bad there.
It's not as feel bad as Annihilator, but it can be a feels bad. So,
I don't want to see another Carnage Tyrant for a while. I'm just still stuck on that. Can't be countered and hexproof and trample and no.
Well, you know, once in a while. Hey, Mark, I had a question about something you generally aren't asked about, at least to my knowledge. I believe you stated the Commander, Brawl, CEDH players represent a rather large bulk of MTG play currently. If that's the case, would it be reasonable to suggest that a singleton format of that nature have representation on the Pro Tour? I knew this answer before he ever answered it, and I was glad he gave the right answer. The success of Commander has been its casual nature. The worst thing we could do for the format is put it on the Pro Tour. Yeah, and that's absolutely correct. I don't even think we need to say a whole lot about that. If you're not familiar enough to know that, it's a truth. It's a truism. It's a truism.
It is a truism. Yeah.
That's why I wasn't going to go on. I just want to tell you, you are very good at your job. This is coming at the end of what we're going to talk about here in a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and get it in here.
Right.
Because it applies all the time. You are better at your job than almost anyone. Peyton Manning levels of good at your job. Elon Musk levels of good at your job. And infinitely better with social media. He says, I mess it up all the time, but thanks for the kind words. Like he always does, humbly saying that. And the last little one-up I think I got here is, hey, Mark, where are meld and transform on the storm scale? So he puts meld at a 6 and transform at a 4. I think transform they're willing to use. That's why it's got a 4. We're going to see transform a lot.
Yeah.
And 6 isn't horrible for meld, actually.
No. Well, I mean, we've had transform a lot ever since it first debuted almost. Remember I was telling you I had seen something Mayro had said when we had our last rotation, that it was the first time in several years that there were no double-faced cards in Standard.
Now. Oh, yeah.
There had been constantly something double-faced in Standard for years at this point, and now we don't have anything.
I'd say we got something coming
pretty soon, Christmas. I would guess, yeah.
After Christmas.
Probably not in core.
Maybe not, but maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, there's always a possibility we get some more, like, Origins Planeswalkers.
Yeah, they pushed core a little harder with the complexity of core last year, so maybe some transfer.
Well, and with some of the stuff that we've been talking about pushing complexity levels.
Right.
And people learning through Commander, I think the core set, I don't think it's necessarily an introductory set as much as it used to be.
Right.
They kind of brought it back using it as an excuse.
Right.
But it's a place to print stuff that just doesn't fit in other sets.
Right. Where you can't go to that plane if it's something plane specific, especially.
Yeah, and it just lets them have sort of a relief valve for a few reprints and to do some things. And we're going to talk about that. What a great segue. Hello, Mark. So is there a tribe in Core Set 2021 that gets tribal support like Elementals did last year?
That was fun with Elementals.
There is. Doesn't tell us what it is, but there is. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then
Slivers.
It might be time.
We talked not long ago
It might
about
be.
Slivers. Feels
It
like
might
it's
be.
getting closer.
I didn't leave them in, but there was a little bit of talk this week from a few people about tricolor legendary slivers. And Mayro thought it would be weird to do tricolor legendary slivers because he thought the expectations was a Wooburg legendary sliver because we already have so many.
Yep,
and that was the counter argument. We already have so many of those. We'd rather just play. Well, and I get it because there's so many slivers.
Right.
You can't play them all.
Nope.
And then the other thing is that he just confirmed, do Core 21 previews really begin on the 4th of June? And he says he believes they do. I hadn't seen it anywhere specifically.
That's next week.
That is coming really fast. Yes, it is. You are so up there with that. With that knowledge stuff.
We'll be able to talk about, next week on Chatter, we'll be able to talk about the first previews.
Yes.
Wow.
All right. So, again, this last week, and I didn't pull a bunch of these, but he announced last week, today's my birthday, and per tradition, I asked for you to share stories about interactions with me, or, you know, whatever your first interaction was, or whatnot. Or what sets that you liked, and that kind of thing. And there were a few people who done that. But the only couple I was going to share with you is when I came back to Magic after several years' gap, I discovered something called Making Magic. The hours I spent there in order to discover what had happened in all those years. You know. He mentions I hit 1,000 columns sometime later this year. So 1,000 Making Magic columns this year. And I thought that was awesome.
That's a lot.
That is a lot of writing about Magic.
Yeah.
He literally has millions of words on the subject. And another one, happy birthday. I don't have a particular story to share. This is kind of a common thing. So instead, I'll say that my favorite part of interacting with you on this blog is seeing how you appreciate differing viewpoints, and that some people enjoy the game in different ways than you do. Thanks for being awesome. And again, thanks for the kind words. Seeing other people's viewpoint is not just good for game design, but a good life skill.
Yes, it is, Mark.
And as we're getting ready to get into some of that in just a minute, you'll see what we're talking about dealing with folks. And I was just going to tell real briefly that I had a personal interaction with him 2 years ago at Las Vegas. I finally took Waiting in the Weeds with me to GP Vegas and had him sign it because Waiting in the Weeds, while it has cats in the artwork, was originally supposed to make squirrel tokens. There was a big mix-up. We may have talked about it on a previous show. Definitely on Chatter somewhere I've talked about it. So anyway, I had new art put on it by an artist, and I had Mark Rosewater sign it and cross out cats, put squirrels in there. Now I play it in my local commander groups as making squirrels. And so that was he was very gracious. I caught him right when I didn't catch a great time to catch him, but he was still very polite, nice, gave the autograph. He was in between things, you know. And I just have to say that I've always had great interactions with him. And I think that's probably true of most folks. So moving along, there was an article this past week from Making Magic.
Yeah.
Not quite to 1,000, but we're getting there. It was called The Grand Experiment. It seemed to me as though the implication is that physical communities that prefer paper-constructed 60 cards are no longer the focus. I understand the business motivations behind that. It still feels like a gut punch as it just reinforces that the past year of upheaval is a new norm. I don't envy your position, but just wanted to share my thoughts as the message, this product isn't for you, feels very personal as it sort of covers the entire game direction for me. And he says, if you got that implication, then I apologize. Nothing could be further from the truth. The heart of the game lies in the tabletop. In tabletop, not the tabletop. And then one other mention here Hey, Mario, I read your article yesterday. In it, you mentioned that Ikoria is an experiment with complexity. Sometimes when Wizards does new things, they stick around immediately. Vehicles, equipment, prowess.
Right.
Is that likely here, or should we expect to wait a few years, like sagas? Because sagas were popular, but we haven't got them again yet.
Right. Well, we just did in Theros.
Well, we just got,
Right.
yeah. So it took a little while, but it wasn't that long,
About
really.
2 years.
This is something we're waiting on to see the reaction. So we are going to wait and see. The article was about the complexity level of Ikoria. And so they sort of ramped it up on purpose, didn't pull it back, so they could see how it worked. And we're going to talk about that actually a little bit more on Chatter. So if you're watching this before you watch this week's Chatter, then you need to be sure and watch Chatter.
Jump over there, yeah.
We're going to talk about that. So with that said, I believe
we're into
a discussion that ran long and has been big on the internets this week, I think. You're the Reddit guy, so you've probably seen some of this talk, right? I'm not a Reddit frequenter. So we're gonna start. We're gonna go sequentially. I may regret that at the end, but we're gonna go sequentially so that I don't get lost in all the yellow on here. All right.
There is a lot of it.
And all these things are related. With several friends that loathe WotC and everything Magic related, not exactly sure why they play, do you have any advice? They're of the opinion that every possible action or product put out is meticulously coordinated by greed and the desire to ruin players' day. He says, we all have one thing in common. We love Magic. Maybe players dislike individual choices or products we make, but in the end, we're still creating the game we all enjoy. My biggest reward is not people saying nice things, although I do enjoy that.
I'm sure he does.
It's hearing how Magic is making people's lives better. So if Magic is making your friends' lives better, that's all I need to hear. I can take the criticism. So a direct follow-up to that was, can you overthrow your higher-ups and make WotC independent again? Because there seems to be a lot of folks who think that Hasbro is forcing WotC to do certain things for the money because of the shareholders. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's not. But it is a company run for business. I know that here in my game store, if I were just to sell stuff at cost, not make any money, I'd go out of business quick, right? And if I make poor decisions here, I'll still go out of business. So the idea is to generate revenue to keep doing what I'm doing.
Right.
He actually says Hasbro actually treats us very well. So he's either a company man, if you're one of the boogity boos out there on the internet, or he's just doing his job and he's got a job to do. When you said you were having a bad day getting yelled at for things that aren't your fault, did you mean on social media? Or internal yelling from your bosses, like the story you've told about the aftermath of Combo Winter? He says, I meant social media. My bosses don't yell at me. Okay, I once got chewed out by our CEO about Urza Saga.
Yeah, it's a fun story to listen to.
That's a story. You should go look that one up. When they almost fired the whole R&D team.
The whole R&D team, they broke the game.
Urza Saga broke the game, and they just almost all lost their job.
What the bleep were you all thinking? How could you bleep it?
Yeah. So, social media. I feel like nowadays I can't go 5 minutes without seeing people say that you should kill yourself for ruining their standard. Has our community always been this toxic without me noticing, or have things gotten a lot worse in the last few years? Listen to this guy. Mark Rosewater says social media, in general, has shifted over the last 5 years to be a little more, I'll say, critical. Critical.
Yeah.
A little more critical.
With grace, Miro. With
grace. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. All right, we're going to get a little meatier here. Hey, Mark. I know that you probably won't answer this, but I really wanted you to pass this along if possible. Double Masters, while being a cool set, I'm assuming, is priced out of my range. While you don't control pricing, I just wanted you to know that $300 a box before gouging,
right?
That's called market, but okay, is going to really spoil a lot of the community's goodwill towards your company. I know that company line is It's not for everyone. But Mr. Rosewater, it's a bridge too far for this 15-year invested player. Now, this is one of, I believe, 3 different ones I'm going to go over where uncharacteristic to most of the answers he gives, which are 1, 2, 3 sentences, he goes into paragraphs here.
Yes.
This is an extensive answer. And all of these are about the same thing. So he's really been trying to help guide people to an understanding plane of what's going on.
Double Masters has really got some people riled up, but it's not really any different than what we saw 2 or 3 years ago in Ultimate Masters. It's the same price point as Ultimate Masters was, and there was the same criticisms in.
So here we go. I want to have an honest discussion with all of you. While making Magic the best game it can be is important to us, we are also a business. Part of our job as a business is to recognize all the various audiences and create products to serve them. That's how we make money. Finding player desires and filling them with products. One of our audiences are invested players with a higher price threshold. That is, there are players who are willing to spend a lot of money for highly desirable cards, be it reprints or alternate versions. The community calls those whales.
Yeah.
That comes from the gambling industry, but okay. It's in our interest to make products for those players, things like Double Masters and Collector Boosters. Note that we take great care to make those products something that group is happy to buy. The issue is that those desirable cards are also desired by players who that product is not aimed for. Desirable cards are desirable cards.
Right.
So when we make these products, that group gets upset because the prices seem so high. It feels like an insult. We made something they'd like, but we priced them out of being able to purchase it. I get the ill will, but I also feel like not making products for that audience is unfair for both that audience and to us.
Right.
So I'm turning to all of you that feel upset. How can we make these products in a way that allows the audience to get what they want without all of you feeling like we're doing harm to you? So that's the first big response we've got right there.
Yeah, Double Masters has got everybody in a tizzy online, just to put it simply. But he's absolutely right. I mean, before we started getting those kind of master sets and stuff like that, the whales, we're wanting that, and now we have it. But
so again, that's issue 1 right there. Magic is made for a lot of people. Not everybody has the same desire. Some people collect, some people play, some people grind their play, some people casual play, some people like the art, some people like the chase of the hunt of the collecting. It is a collectible.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your answers and community interactions, Mr. Rosewater. There's no Mark in this one. However, it seems that one of your recent answers has made people think that WotC does not want less than wealthy people to play the game. Do you have any thoughts on this controversy? And I believe that this is the longest one right here.
It's the longest Blogatog answer I've ever seen out of him.
I've seen a couple. This one's hitting on pretty close to the longest one I've ever seen. We want everyone who wants to play Magic to be able to play Magic. We support a large number of formats to allow people to customize what format fits them best, and that includes financially.
Yes.
I'm just trying to be honest that in addition to a game, Magic is a collectible. And the fact it's a collectible is important because it finances the business model that lets us have the many resources, game design, creative, etc., necessary to continue to make it the best game in the world. Older formats with larger card pools come with a challenge that getting particular cards can be more difficult because once again there is a collectible aspect to the game. We do reprint many desired cards to help increase the numbers available, but it's always going to be a factor in those formats. The strength of older formats is to access a lot more cards. As I often say, your greatest weakness is your greatest strength pushed too far. Having a lot of cards available also means the collectible aspect kicks in stronger. The reason we have formats with smaller card pools, usually of more recent cards, is to provide players a way to play that lessens the collectible aspect, specifically to make it easier to collect the cards you need. We even provide numerous limited formats that require only purchasing the necessary products in the moment.
Yeah.
You can even play Magic the Gathering Arena without spending any money. My point is, there are numerous budget-conscious ways to play Magic. If you choose to opt into a format with a larger card pool, that comes with a collectible aspect that we can only offset so much.
Right.
Yes, we can and will reprint desired cards when able, but never to the extent that everything desirable will be easy to attain. I'm happy to hear what reprints you want to see more of, and yes, fetch lands, I got it. And I love hearing about past products that did a good job fulfilling this role, or future products that might fulfill it in the future. I do want to know when we make products that upset you, why it upsets you, so I can apply lessons to future products. I want to have a two-way conversation with all of you. I'm just pointing out that abandoned Magic being collectible is not going to be something I can realistically take to my bosses. So please, let's continue talking, but we have to do so with the realities of the business as an honest part of the conversation. And thank you for responding. I do take the close interaction with all of you very seriously. So this hits on most of the points. There are probably a few here, but that I think we really need to hit on. There are lots of ways, and I mentioned it a while ago, to enjoy the game.
Yeah.
From cosplaying to collecting to playing, or the lore. Or being a media content creator, because that you dabble in some of it. So you create content for others. There's lots of ways. So just the cards themselves. You can play Pauper. You can play Vintage, Commander. There are tons of formats. You can play online for nothing on Arena. Magic Online is relatively inexpensive, I understand.
Right.
Outside of the more expensive cards that are harder to get, as always. Don't get me started. I don't understand the digital collectability, but okay. Past that, we're talking about paper primarily.
Right.
So I think people have the idea that because there were so few products for so many years, that they should be able to get everything that comes out.
Right.
I've been trying to tell people around here for quite some time, you should pick and choose. You should determine what kind of Magic player you are and focus on that. If you're a limited player, then come out and draft the new sets when you can.
Right.
If you're constructed, maybe pick up a box if your income allows it of new sets. If not, pick up the singles you're looking for and go from there. If you're a Commander player, you need stuff from a lot of things.
Yep.
See, unless you're just a moneybags whale, you're probably not going to buy a box of everything.
Right.
You buy boxes when you can because you get a lot of cards that way.
Oh yeah.
Let's not get focused in on just the financial because there's a lot of playability in a box of cards.
Oh Lord, yes.
But we're mainly talking financial here, so we're not going to focus in on the playability financially. So just pick up the singles you want. Another thing that buying a box will do is it'll give you cards you don't want, which you can trade for cards that you do. So again, there are lots of products, lots of ways to engage in the hobby, and it just seems like everything boils down to this, well, you're not making this card free to me, or virtually free, so it's bad.
Right.
And
people want
he done a really good job explaining the whole scenario right there.
Well, I mean, you have the two camps of people. You have people that either want them to print everything into oblivion to where it's worthless. But then you have people that understand it's a collectible. People don't want their fetch lands to be worth $1 because they've collected fetch lands that are worth money and took time to collect and were harder to get a hold of.
We have talked in the past about reprint equity. Probably not since we started Reblogatog.
No, but
reprint equity is something that gets bandied about by maybe the financial sector or some of the media content creators like ourselves that understand that if WotC were just to say print a set, unlimited in nature, of all the cards we wanted reprinted, all the fetches and the shocks and all the non-reserve lists, we're not going there today, everything that you wanted, and you could get one of each of them or a play set of each of them, and just print all that you wanted, and all the value goes away,
Right.
They've lost all their reprint equity because now people don't need any of those cards. So there's no more master sets.
No, there's no need for them.
And there's no drive. Once that little money dries up, there's no more funds for developing other sets.
No.
Like Modern Horizons.
Right. No, it's absolutely, the reprint equity is, people get upset that these master sets with these high-end reprints that we all want, that they're charging a premium price for a premium product. I get some of the outrage because they're not designing new cards. People always bring that about. You're right, they're not designing new cards. It's all stuff already designed, so R&D's not. They're having to put together a draft environment, which takes a lot of work. I will give that. But they're not designing new cards. But also, if they put all these cards we want into standard priced packs with unlimited print runs, like we said, they tank their own value and it gets them nowhere.
I think there's a fine argument to be made that they might have pulled back too far, but there was a time just a year and a half ago when they were flooding us with master sets. Mm-hmm. And if you look back at Iconic and Masters 25, a lot of those cards tanked really hard.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think they started seeing they were burning that equity, and they decided to figure out another way to bring it back.
Right.
And so I'm on board, personally speaking, with what's going on. So we've got a couple more here to hit on this, and then we'll be wrapping up for the day. Hi, Mark. I'm a college student with a job, so I have some disposable income. I feel like it's okay to have premium products.
Right.
Actually, it's a really good idea. Things like Masterpieces, Secret Layers, Mythic Edition, etc. are all wonderful products for people with more money than me. But it feels bad that despite my disposable income, I'm basically relegated to casual decks in every format but Pauper. Sets should never be not for you. I want to draft and have fun with my friends at my LGS. Here's a much shorter response than last time.
Right.
I think people are getting a little too caught up in not for you. Sets are always made for somebody, often many somebodies.
Right.
Premier sets, a.k.a. standard legal sets, that's a new term they're calling them now. That's in this week's Making Magic column.
Grand experiment.
Yep. Try to have something for everybody, but sets have to have focus and a theme. They need to be about something. Not everyone is going to like that thing, and that's okay. We make a lot of Magic products. Right now, we have Ikoria to play. July 3rd, we'll have Core Set 2021. We do try hard in normal, non-pandemic times to always have something to draft in the local game store. So, again, this is a saying. Not everything is for everyone.
Right.
And as I've heard mentioned in other places, and I've said myself, Magic is not a right. It's not an entitlement.
No.
You weren't born with the ability to be able to play every Magic card just because you exist on the planet.
Right.
This is Hasbro's IP. Okay? They can do what they want with it. You can vote with your dollars. You can go play something else.
Yeah.
I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Prints their stuff into oblivion.
Yeah. You
could go play Yu-Gi-Oh! You could go play with the 52 card pickup that's been around by Hoyle for forever, right? You can get those anywhere and replace them all the time.
Yep.
You can play that. You can play checkers. You can go out and play frisbee golf, or there's a lot of things you could do. So you do have options. You don't have to play Magic. And you're not entitled to every Magic card. I'm not. I would love to have every Magic card.
Right.
I own a store, and I'd love to have cards from every set. I don't. Okay? I can't afford them either, guys. It's not like I'm sitting back here going, I got 5 of those, got 10 of them. No, there's a lot of cards I don't have. So, we all pick and choose, right? I didn't get any of that unthing that came out.
Oh yeah, the unsanctioned. I didn't either.
Unsanctioned. All of my pre-orders
gone.
We didn't get a single one between us.
Whoa.
That's my kin. Okay, I sold them all out. I'm probably gonna have to go to the aftermarket because I don't really care. The lands are sweet. Don't get me wrong. I need the squirrel stuff out of there. I'm a squirrel guy, and I still don't have the squirrel stuff. But I think we can go get the squirrel stuff for dollars.
Yeah.
Pennies on the dollar versus $60 to $100 or whatever the set's going for.
Right. And oddly enough, the full art lands, are super cool, but I kind of wanted a whole bunch of them squirrel lands, maybe as much, if not more.
Yep.
Because those are really cool looking.
Yep. So I haven't went and done it yet, but I was looking the other day and I thought, I think it was $12 or $15 people were selling. They're stripping the lands out and they're selling for $50, $60, whatever.
Right.
But the rest of it, $10 or $15. So, it just depends on where you set your sights. And if you want to be competitive, you need money.
Yeah.
There's travel money. There's hotel money. There's food money. There's card money. Yeah. There's entry fee money. Okay? And our last one, we'll get onto that, and then we'll wrap up. Hey, Mark, just a reminder to stop, take a breath, and remember that everyone, even the raging goblins, react to magic so strongly because it comes from a place of love for the game. You're doing a fantastic job from the players and from Magic itself. Thank you.
Nice.
I enjoy that Magic has a passionate player base. And on weeks like this where I get a lot of, let's call it avid feedback, I do take it all to heart, so let me say this. We hear that there are things some of you want that we are currently not providing, or at least not at the level you desire.
Right.
We hear that some of you wish we executed certain products differently. We hear that some of you are frustrated. This is not falling on deaf ears. I and many others at Wizards are listening to all your feedback. We will use that knowledge proactively to continue to improve the game and hopefully turn negative comments in the present into positive comments in the future. Now, it is my hopes and sincerest dreams that if anybody reads this, that everybody that reads this correctly. But I know that in the world that we live in, there are people reading that going, oh, they're taking our feedback and they're going to fix all that and change it. No, they know what the problems are. They're going to try to address them as they can, as best they can.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that tomorrow everything's coming out pennies a piece.
Right.
And that you can just have all the stuff that you want. That's not where we're going.
No, it's not. That's not where you want things to be going either.
No, we already talked about that. But absolutely right. I don't know why it is, but the internet sure does like squeaky wheels.
Yeah, they do.
It's full of squeaky wheels, all the way from our politics down to our games. And man, I think that we need to give them feedback, but I would much rather that people would give constructive feedback.
Very much so.
Constructive in that, I don't like the set because I wish you would have done blank.
Right.
That's constructive, not like, I hate you, this is horrible, don't do this anymore, what were you thinking? That's not constructive.
We haven't even seen the whole set yet, right? I mean,
No, but double masters, double price, double,
right.
All this stuff. So, anyway, that's what we've got this week. We're glad you tuned in with us. Hope you enjoyed our latest episode of Reblogatog. Our 10th episode of Reblogatog. And we should be back next week with a Baker's Dozen episode.
Oh.
So, until we see you then...
I do like donuts.
We need a good sign-off here, don't we?
We do need a good sign-off.
We got one for chatter, but we don't have one here.
We don't.
I don't know. We're going to have to work on that.
I'm going to start reading flavor text on ATOG creatures.
Or goblins.
Goblins.
We might find a good sign-off there. Anyway, we'll see you guys next week. We appreciate all of you.
Thank you.